Yeah, I am notoriously bad at recruiting, to be honest. Like, they keep me largely out of it because
you like everybody.
I tend to like everybody. Yeah,
everybody.
People are interesting. Everybody's got an interesting story. And so they'll bring me in now at the end when it's time to like get somebody pumped up. I'm a better cheerleader than a head coach. These guys are both like head coach material. They will have the hard conversations. They'll drive the team hard. Like, I'm like, pump them up, rah, rah, let's go.
I actually consider myself more of like a quarterback. Like, you need something done. You put me on the field, give me the ball. I will get in the end zone and score a touchdown. I actually do think Josh is a much better coach.
I think it's self-aware. Yeah, you're right.
Let's boldly go.
We're back. We got Luke for a third episode. And Luke,
it's like a Star Wars trilogy.
It's like a Star Wars. We brought you back in now. You wanted to get Josh in here, and we got Josh in here.
Yeah, actually, you had just started to ask before we got started about the mask.
Well, from this angle, it looks like a mastodon skull or something. But if you look at it head on, I could tell it's Darth Vader. It's melted. Pretty cool.
Yeah, so the backstory, Josh was setting up to lead the Boston office. And he comes to me with, he's like, hey, I want to do a Boston sports bar theme. And I'm like,
would have been sick.
We are not. That is just not Axon. We are not doing a sports bar. So we had to negotiate back and forth. And I ultimately proposed Tron because, like, Tron is a movie with a lot of sports in it. They got the Frisbee discs and the racing motorcycles. And then I see Josh, after we set up this sweet kick-ass office, he brings in Vader's helmet from our San Francisco office, which is in Skywalker Ranch. And then he's being interviewed on our internal podcast. And somebody asks him about some of the Tron things. I don't know what the fuck these are.
You've never seen the Tron movie?
Fuck no, dude. There's a motorcycle in the front lobby. And somebody asked me, like, whose motorcycle is that? And I was like, I think it's Tron's. I don't fucking know. And it turns out Tron is not a person or a character, right? It's like I don't know. I mean,
you got to watch the movie at least once, dude. You can't be an idiot about your own office when you walk people through.
I thought you would have been proud of me. I asked for a ChatGPT summary of the movie so I didn't have to watch it. Saved myself an hour and a half.
So the office is a mashup of Tron and Boston sports.
We did put behind Rick's back. All the conference rooms are named after famous Boston sports figures.
Guarantee you, he could not identify one of those sports figures.
What do you think? Portnoy, you would know.
I know, and Flutie.
Doug Flutie.
And Belichick, because he spoke at one of our events.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have known.
Well, actually, one of my favorite moments with Rick Smith is Josh and I are talking, and we're like, LeBron James. Do you remember this?
Yes, I tell the story all the time.
LeBron James is basically the second coming of Michael Jordan. And every single person on the planet knows who LeBron James is. Rick is like, who's
he goes, remind me who that is again? But like once in a while, Rick will have like a incredible sports analogy out of nowhere. And you're just like,
I got to sneak him in. Here and there. I know where I got to build my street cred with you, Josh. I go do a little GPT research. I get ready for it, and I spring it on you.
Ironic, if you lined me, Rick, and Josh up, people would probably say Rick is the best athlete.
Yep.
Then maybe Luke, then Josh. And I actually think for ball sports, it's probably inverted. Josh is a pretty good ball sport athlete. He loves the balls.
Division I athlete. Hate the game.
Well, one time, Josh and his wife and my wife, we were at pre-President's Club. We were at a trip in Hawaii, and we played this pickup basketball game. Josh's wife really, she scores 5 points. Josh scores 10 points. I score 14 points.
You add those up, that's a loss.
I mean... Look,
I threw out my back and making the game-winning shot?
Yeah.
I was literally laid out the rest of the trip.
I love my wife. She really wasn't delivering much in that game.
Were so pissed at her.
Yeah, competitive spirit. But getting back to the office, so when we were setting up the Seattle office, Seattle's very green and lush, and these people are really into that, and they're like, Luke, we really want this to be like plant-based. We want a lot of plants in here. And Rick is like, negative. We don't want a single plant in there. And this was like, this is like citing the armistice after D-Day. We've got to be like, Rick, how about one plant? Can we just get one plant in there? And I think he actually acquiesced. That we got a few plants in there, but really cool.
They had to be in like They had to be in like the Starship Enterprise terrarium.
Yeah.
They were like specimens within our sci-fi.
Ironically, our Vietnam office is full of plants. We've got
But it's very sci-fi. Like, they made it work.
Yeah.
So you got to stay with the themes.
So Josh is now president of Axon. He's a big guy. He's looming large. Everyone's like, man, this guy is so awesome. But I know
Wait, who's saying that?
I don't
a lot of people, Rick. A ton of people are saying everybody pretty much.
His PR team is saying it.
His people.
But I know a very different Josh Isner. The Josh Isner I know, this guy walks into the Axon lobby for his interview. And, I mean, I have not seen somebody that disheveled since John Belushi in the frat house. I mean, it was like...
That was Animal House.
Animal House. Okay.
I can help you with your movie trivia.
Maybe you're a little older than us. You know these better than we do. So Josh walks in, and he is... everybody's like, what do we think of this guy? 10 out of 10, thumbs down. I think...
No, I think it was.
He did not exactly carry himself like somebody who would say... This is the guy you want to bet on. And then what happened next, Rick?
Well, first, you got to get a little bit of context. So Luke had joined the company, and you proposed to me we should create a leadership development program. And you'd mentioned like other great companies do this, and they recruit out of great schools. And so I was like, oh, all right, sure, let's give it a try. And in fact, just by happenstance, I own a fraternity house at Harvard. Long story behind that. And we could use that as a place to go like, tip into the university recruiting crowd. And so Josh was in the Sigma Chi fraternity at Harvard, lived in the house, and helped us sort of bring in a batch of recruits. And so we bought him out, interviewed him, and then we sent him a rejection letter. So Josh didn't make the cut. But then I get this email. Do you have it accessible, Josh, where you can pull it up on your phone?
Oh, he does have it.
Yeah, I forward this around. I want to. We should frame it. We should
absolutely frame this. So this is the only time this has happened in my career. We sent a rejection letter, and then Josh sends me this email. Read the email you sent to me first.
Rick, I just want to drop you a quick note to say thanks for everything in regards to the TASER leadership program. Although Irene informed me that I was not selected, I'm thankful for the opportunity. Although I have other options, one with a software company doing sales, TASER remains my first choice. If anything opens up, especially in entry-level sales positions, please let me know, as I feel sales best utilizes my talents. I would also take less money to work at TASER than my current offer. Please let me know if you foresee anything opening up in sales, and thanks again.
Like, this guy just got a rejection letter, and he sends me this awesome, like, what a gentleman. And so I printed that out. I walked it down to our then head of HR, and I was like, get this kid an offer letter. And today he's the president of the company. What a comeback, Josh.
Crazy.
Comeback.
Yeah,
I mean,
a lot of people
I liked it. I liked that he
coming.
let you know that he had other options, though. He just wanted you to know that he had other options.
Yeah, I didn't really want to go. It was actually a great company.
I don't think he actually had it.
I don't either.
I did.
My girlfriend in Canada wants me if you don't.
One time at band camp.
I would have been one of like 40,000 employees at EMC, which was a great company acquired by Dell, based in Boston or Franklin, Mass. But I'm glad we didn't. I'm glad it worked out here.
Yeah, I mean, do you worry about that now as AI is taking over sort of HR, like you might miss a Josh Isner coming through because AI screens it out before you ever get to the interview process?
Yeah, I am notoriously bad at recruiting, to be honest. Like, they keep me largely out of it because
you like
I tend to like everybody. Yeah,
everybody.
People are interesting. Everybody's got an interesting story. And so they'll bring me in now at the end when it's time to like get somebody pumped up. And I'm a better cheerleader than a head coach. These guys are both like head coach material. They will have the hard conversations. They'll drive the team hard. Like, I'm like, pump them up, rah, rah, let's go.
I actually consider myself more of like a quarterback. Like, you need something done. You put me on the field, give me the ball. I will get in the end zone and score a touchdown. I actually do think Josh is a much better coach.
I think it's self-aware. Yeah, you're right.
But let's getting back to you and rejection. We could have a whole episode on Rick and rejection, but I think the common theme there with Josh was, he got this rejection letter and then he came back and said, hey, I want a shot. And so he shows up. Everyone's like, I thought this was a unanimous no. This guy walks in the building and he's kind of like, that kid nobody wants to touch. He's a little radioactive, and I have a soft spot for people like this. So I put my arm around him. I said, hey, come over here. I'm going to help show you the ropes. And it was pretty special relationship early on. We were both younger guys. We're traveling in the company, and we stayed a lot together in the hotel.
We'd share a room on the road all the time. Something that's frowned upon at Axon now, which I wish it wasn't. I think it's great when you share rooms on the road.
And if you remember from the prior episodes, like at this point in time in the company is not exactly a smooth sailing
we're
time.
coming off of X3, Shockwave, X-Rep, Axon Pro.
You had the old guard in terms of taser, and you're switching back over, and Rick saying burn the ships.
Yeah, so Rick went to Harvard, and at the time, I don't think anyone else at the company
We had never. In full candor, early on in my career, everybody made fun of me for taser, and I had this like
Shocky shotgun.
I had this complex. I was like, my company's not good enough to go recruit Harvard kids who have all these opportunities.
I actually was going to take that a different direction. So Rick went to Harvard, and then he recruits in these guys from Harvard, and so kind of the old guard is like, these kids coming in with their blue suede shoes and
gold-plated resumes.
Yeah, they're gonna Rolexes. They're gonna tell us how to run the company, and so they were not nice to the LDPs. I mean, it was a pretty toxic relationship.
It was great though. Like, I'm glad that happened for sure. It was like a big moment in the history of the company, I think, where it was like a clash, but we came out the other side of it and we were rolling.
I don't want to overshare too much, but my brother Tom, we started the company together, and he had just come back. He took a year. He basically retired, and then he came back. And I went to Harvard, and he went to U of A, which is, I'm going to tell you, Luke, just not where excellence goes to get educated.
That's where Luke graduated.
I'm a U of A guy. Look, I bet you had a little more fun in college than you guys did. I always tell people the only thing I'd trade my 4 years of U of A is for 4 more. But
so Tom comes back, and everybody's going complaining to him. And look, that was a little bit of a rub in our relationship too. Like, his younger brother went to Harvard. He's like, what is with these snot-nosed, arrogant, and kids weren't arrogant, but this just got assigned to them. It was, you guys were treated pretty brutally.
Yeah.
Actually, I've got one more thing before we move on.
There was the Fort. They were. Do you remember the Fort? Friends of Rick and Tom. The Fort did not like the LDPs.
Oh, wow.
All right, so there was. I do have to give a little more context on this fraternity. So my freshman year, my sophomore year at Harvard, I walked on the football team, and I got crushed, just destroyed. I think.
What did the guy call you as a nickname again?
Rudy. Like the guy who tries really hard.
You look like a quarterback.
I know. No, he didn't look that.
It's fake news, man. I'm so glad. I tell this story to my kids too. I'm like, you gotta fail in life. I'm so glad. My freshman year, I couldn't play because I had a shoulder injury, and so the voice in my head was like, Rick, like you can do this. I'd done well in high school football, so I trained like crazy. Like in the spring when they were running laps, everybody was like playing around, and I'd be like focused running fast. I'd be lapping people, and I'm not that fast, but I was a hard worker. I trained 3 days a week that whole summer. I walked on the football team and got crushed, just destroyed. And I ended up leaving. A buddy of mine from U of A was like, hey man, it's sorority rush week. You should just come down here. And I walked out, and I'm so glad I failed. And I tell my kids this, had I never tried football, to this day, I might be able to name more pro sports and athletes because I'd be thinking I could have been in the NFL. But I have no delusions. I know football was not for me. I got crushed.
Well, yeah, and to be fair to you, Harvard is like the stepping stone to the NFL. So if you were good there, I'm sure it would have worked out great for you.
It's known for its football team.
Yeah, 100%.
So I went to U of A, and I fell in love with like the fraternities there were not what I expected. It wasn't Animal House. It was like actually building relationships with other young men who'd been away from home for the first time. There was nothing like that at Harvard. So we started at Harvard. Anyways, 10 years later, I had some degree of success. Some of the alumni, we'd had this dream of having a fraternity house. So we raised some money to buy it. Not enough to buy the whole thing. Somebody had to sign for the loan. And everybody else was terrified. Like, who wants the liability of owning a fraternity house? Well, in 2004, I was like, I'm getting sued all the time anyway. Like 2005, I'm like, this is a low liability endeavor for me. So we bought the house. And I had the mortgage, like, basically in my name. And my wife, Brenda, who's a saint, ended up being an involuntary house mom. She had to manage this project. And these guys, like, one thing about Harvard kids, they cannot do life's basic tasks. And so right after we had I had met Josh. It was afterwards, right, Josh? After the offer letter.
No, yes, it was 2 months after the offer letter. We had not, other than my interview, we still didn't really know each other that well, but that email brought us a little closer together.
I sent Josh this letter. I said, "Dear Sigs at Harvard, it is with great frustration that I write you. Since I personally signed up for the debt to buy the fraternity house, it has been a very frustrating experience." And I go on to tell them how it's been like 6 months or the past few years. My wife has been strongly pushing me to evict you and sell the house. Given the spotty history, it's hard for me to argue against that. Goes on. I apologize, after many pages, I apologize for the cold tone of this letter, but it's been mind-boggling that the brightest young minds in academia can't figure out how to set up bill pay.
Since that email was written, when was that? Like 2009? I have never forgot that line.
I don't
brightest young minds not being able to set up bill pay.
These guys couldn't pay friggin' rent.
Well, I explained to Rick the other night. It's not that people weren't paying their rent. They were paying their rent to the fraternity. This house was falling apart. It was one of these historical homes. Yeah. Oliver Wendell Holmes.
It is now condemned, by the way.
Supreme Court lived there, so you couldn't touch anything in it, essentially. It was in Cambridge. They have a very specific way of doing things there. And so we were like paying, like the pipes would freeze and every day for all winter, and we'd have to pay a plumber to come like unclog or like thaw out the pipes. And then we had a rat problem. We had a fucking rat this big named Constantine, big figure in the Sigma Chi fraternity. The guy finally has it. It's like in a trash bag, and he's holding it over his shoulder. We had to pay for stuff like that, and that's where all the rent money was going.
Anyway, so Josh and I were kind of off to a rough start. He couldn't figure out bill pay. He got a rejection letter.
Wow.
But he finally shows up, and Luke takes him under his arm.
So what did the SIGs at Harvard think about this guy, the alumni who's sending this letter in? Did they care?
There's only 6 people who live in the house. So, like, largely we were feeling the heat, but most of the fraternity was like, yeah, you guys are fucking this up.
Yeah. So don't breeze it. I mean, you're a startup founder from the beginning. You started a fraternity at Harvard. Like, that is from scratch.
It was against university policy. They'd kicked all the fraternities off back in the 1930s. I was getting letters from the dean threatening to throw me out of school. I would say, just to set the right impression, it was as much Dead Poet Society as it was Animal House. It was kind of a mix of both, and it's been pretty transformative for me. Like my best friends, you look at our wedding photos. We've had a few funerals now. Like it has been the glue that is stitched.
Yeah, to this day, you're still close to your fraternity. There's a couple here in the building.
And the fact that look, like we saw at Taser and Axon, like hard times bring you together. Like we didn't have a house. The dean's threatening to throw us out of school. We had to meet at secret locations off campus. Like that brings people together.
Yeah. And then the Harvard-Yale game. So we had talked about the dinosaurs at IACP, and then we're getting ready to send these dinosaurs back to wherever they came from. And Rick said, no, I need the dinosaurs. And I'm like, what is this guy talking about? He said, we need to ship the dinosaurs out to Boston for the Harvard-Yale game. So there's pictures of these dinosaurs going around the Harvard-Yale game.
That was fun. That was the theme of that was the robber baron's ball. Again, I don't know if this can make the final cut, but look, sometimes you gotta challenge the system. And this was like when they were doing the Wall Street, Occupy Wall Street, and everything was against the 1%. And look, Harvard can be a little almost nauseating in their high-minded liberalism. And so we were the theme of the tailgate party was everybody's in top hats, and it was the robber baron's ball. It was like somebody's got to stand up for the 1%. We're absolutely just poking at the school. Yeah. And we had dinosaurs and acrobats.
And Mini-Kiss.
That was a different year.
Oh.
Mini-Kiss was not the robber baron's
the year
ball.
after. Yeah,
that was Fur and Boots.
Yeah.
That was a different theme. Also maybe, poking at people. We got to have a sense of humor, right? And have a little fun with things.
So Luke, you painted a picture when you walked in the building. It's like you walk in, you knew you were supposed to be there. You see Rick, you're all excited. It seems like this moment I can picture in my mind. He walks in.
Oh, complete opposite. I mean, yeah. So the first time you meet Rick, he's this larger than life character. It's his universe. He's created this thing, and you're like, and Rick says he's a bad recruiter, but that's actually not true. He's managed to build a fantastic team and following, and people have stayed with him for decades. But
no, I'm good at recruiting people. I just suck at
firing people,
discriminating who is the people worth recruiting at times.
Yeah. Max Nurheim, pretty good pick. We'll talk about him later. But when Josh came in, nobody expected anything of this guy. I mean, he was radioactive, really. And it only was getting worse. Like, it was trending worse before it got better. And then I think where it really turned around was, okay, so this is a guy, both Rick and Josh, I can't think of two people that have faced more rejection in their life than these two. And the Axon business is hard. Everybody wants to shut this down. It is like rats fleeing the ship. And so
that's the camera and software business.
Yes. Yeah. And Josh says, I want to be on that team. And the way I remember it is, he says, I want to be on that team and give me a bag. I'm going to go sell, and we're going to figure this out.
And by that team, you mean the video team selling body cameras and evidence.com.
Yeah, and literally, Josh and I would go on these trips to these kind of small, our first body-worn camera sales were not Los Angeles PD or Boston PD. It was like Aberdeen, South Dakota, and Burnsville, Minnesota. We're going to these places in the winter. We went to one small town in Ohio, like
Sandusky, Ohio.
Literally Sandusky, Ohio. And he's out there, and what I think set Josh apart was two things. He was really motivated to go do that, but then he would also come back. I was in the product group, and he would say, hey, Luke, I think we need to do these things different, and we need to pull some of these ideas into the product group. And that, I think, showed a lot of perseverance, but also like intellectually creativity to say, I'm not just going to sit here and let this thing fail. I'm all in to help make this thing succeed.
And you're still the program manager at the time for Body, or?
I don't know what my exact title was, but yeah, I was out. I mean,
But you weren't like high up in the organization.
Chief scribe.
You were still like,
he was chief scribe.
No. I was in the warehouse moving boxes.
Right, that's what I mean.
Low man. If Josh was the lowest guy, I was like
slightly
the
above
lowest
that
guy. Yeah.
It worked though. So something happened along the way where things got popular. And
well, the thing, both of you would challenge authority. Like Luke, we talked about on the other podcast, came in and told me that the product was, forgive the language, but an abortion.
Yeah.
That again, we got to give him that training about office language. But it was a colorful analogy, and ultimately he helped fix the product.
Yeah.
Josh similarly would challenge authority. I don't know if you're ready to go there yet. I was going to tell the story about his first sales meeting.
Let's
go there. So my brother was running sales at the time, and look. Tom was, the company had changed while he was gone, and he came back and wasn't a huge fan of the LDP program. And the cameras, too. We started that while Tom was gone, and he came back, and he was a bit like, we're failing at this. Our stock price is down. Our customers are not happy. Our customers are saying they don't want cameras. They're saying they can't use the cloud, et cetera. And so we go into our sales meeting, and normally, the sales meetings were very structured. It'd be like, I love giving PowerPoint, so I'd talk for 3 hours, and then just sort of go around the horn. And Josh puts his hand up, and he goes up. And do you remember what your proposal was?
Oh, yeah.
Why don't you describe it?
Yeah. So, look, I'd been in the field for a year, and all I saw over and over again.
Yeah, I think it was less. It was like 6 months.
It was
my recollection.
You go to a customer site. They're like, we love Taser. We don't want body cameras. We don't want cloud, but we love Taser. And you'd be sitting in the room with a distributor, and the distributor would be nodding along, and you would do all the selling. You would do the PowerPoint. You would talk about the next model, was X26P, X2, whatever it was. And then at the end, you'd leave the meeting, and the distributor would be like, just let me know what you want, and I'll put the order in for you. Mm-hmm. And so what was actually happening there was customer is sold the product by Axon. Then they call this person who doesn't stock any inventory of our product. They put the order in with Axon. Axon drop ships it to the customer. And the person who put the order in gets 25% of the deal. Mm-hmm. And I just came in and I was like, guys, this is we're just giving away money. These folks are great people. They want Axon to be successful, but they're not sellers. They don't sell any of the hard stuff. They wouldn't sell a warranty. They wouldn't sell any of our software, nothing. And I was like, we could just do this better. And so that was my proposal. We're going to take all of our business in the Northeast direct. It went over like a fart in church, except with Rick. It went over great with Rick.
Well, so again, my brother was running sales, and look, co-founder of the company, and we have an ethos to this day. I think relationships are super important. Mm-hmm. And so, Tom's perspective was, hey, we're these are the people who helped us build the business. We are not going to fire our distributors. Like, we're going to figure out how to bring them along with us. And the language was a little more comfortable. It was getting tense, and Tom
stormed out.
He was
wow.
well. And look, I don't blame him. Like, you were basically challenging.
He's
with
to Tom's credit, he's a very loyal guy. That's what all of this was, between the team, like the old guard versus the Harvard LDPs, and the
Distributor.
and the distributors. It was just all grounded in loyalty. Like, he wanted to, he was grateful to those folks. So it wasn't like you respect that. But it was also one where it was clear the right decision was to change course.
And Tom had built a company, he had owned the sales channel that was a good enough channel to become a public company.
Making money.
Yeah, making money. And so there was
more of that. We're the fastest growing product in recent history in law enforcement. So it wasn't just we had crushed it, but we were doing something new now. And look, this was hard. Like, we had these relationships. These were friends. And Josh is basically saying, we're going to fire these friendly part of the team.
I think a precursor to that meeting, and I don't know if Josh remembers this, but we were actually in a sales ops meeting. And again, Josh and I are like the two youngest guys in the room. And our head of sales ops at the time gets up and says, so at the end of every quarter, we send an email to all of our distributors and we say, we made these sales. Which ones did you contribute to? You're going to get credit for that. And paid. And Josh and I's jaw literally dropped. Like, we were the only two people in the room that were like,
no,
this is crazy, because we were also out on the road. So we would go visit these customers, oftentimes without a distributor, and then they would get the credit for the sales. And so that was kind of the lead up to, hey, this just isn't making sense. And I actually think, again, as you're building a business, you have these kind of S curves where what got you to one level is not going to get you to the next level. And so I think at each phase, you've got to go in and say, what did we do that's working? What do we need to do to reassess and gain? And what, I think taking the business direct was absolutely necessary for the next phase of our growth there.
Well, yeah. So to put it back in perspective, so Josh was making this proposal in the context, he had taken the worst part of the country, the Northeast. And I say worst in that there was heavy police unions here, and police unions didn't want body cameras initially.
And this is pre-Ferguson.
They thought they were protecting officers, and I get it, but it was the toughest, slowest sales region.
Oh, man, we had one meeting where we went in and saw the guy here in Boston, and he was like an old curmudgeon guy, and he did not, I think the first time we walked in, he said, get out, get out. He slammed the door in his face, and then we came back, and Josh, look, for somebody that has, again, like, nobody expects a lot out of him. He's a very endearing guy. And so after his third door shut in this guy's face, he's now treating Josh like he's his grandson. He's like, oh, come in here, Boston guy, likes the Red Sox and all this stuff. You remember that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they, like, everyone early on. I mean, you got to remember, I looked like a physical specimen when I started Axon. I was 5'10", 280, with long hair. Didn't have a beard at the time, which was in retrospect a huge mistake, because I had like 16 chins, and so these people like talked to me like I was essentially like the local like kid everyone was rooting for, but couldn't couldn't hit the rim with a basketball. It's like, oh, Josh, you're such a good guy. We almost feel bad for you.
Yeah, I got to show. Like, Josh has had quite a glow up. This is actually from years later. This is halfway through the resuscitation. No, not a resuscitation. What would you call it? The creation, the experiment that was Josh Isner. So this is at the NASDAQ. He's halfway to who he is today. I mean, this guy's had
just a tough camera angle.
That is.
That picture is like every single person who writes something bad about me or
we got it from Reuters this morning.
Yeah, it was on Reuters.com. Like, everybody who doesn't like me, that's the go-to picture, and I respect it. I think it's very, very funny.
It motivates him.
Yeah.
So anyway, in that meeting, my brother was visibly upset because it was offensive that we would do this, and I think Josh's approach, again, this is actually both of you. It reminds me of when you made me watch the Netflix, HR presentation. We're building a pro sports team, not a family, and this was another one of those moments. And so I had to intervene and be like, I don't know if Josh is right, but we're failing. Like, this business is dying.
Yep.
Like, we got to try something.
Yep.
And so let's give him a shot. And obviously it worked. together. Like both of you made transformative moves there in saving the product and changing the sales strategy. And, we're in a pretty good spot today because of it.
Crazy. It was, in retrospect, a pretty simple decision, but a lot of drama came along with it, but it worked great. And then
it was not simple to execute. Like a lot of these things are
hard.
obvious in the rearview mirror, but sacred cows get sacred for a reason, right?
Yeah. And it was like Mark Swenson, who was my kind of co-seller in the Northeast.
And your mentor, like
video. He's a great guy. He's still at Axon. And he was on the Taser side, and the two of us, the deal we cut with the company was we're going to cut out all the distributors. You're going to make 25% more money, but you've got to give us real commissions moving forward because we're doing all these deals. And historically, it was like for every Taser handle you sold for $1,000, you would get like $1 per handle. And so this was like, hey, you get like 2 or 3% of the deal. And then all the other salespeople started to notice, like, wait, these guys are going direct. Their region's growing. And they're making way more money. And then from there, it was like a landslide where it was like, how fast can we go direct across the country? And it kind of snowballed, which was great. That was a big part of unlocking a lot of the growth.
And we joked, Rick's not a sports fan. You are a huge sports fan.
Oh, yeah.
Like, how much is that?
Sports are dead to me. Now you know why sports
are dead. We're in the Belichick conference room here. He signed the nameplate. You should check it out when we leave. But he would just always say, like, he'd get grilled after games, and he'd say, hey, I just make the decisions that I think are best for the team.
I mean,
like, it was that simple. And, like, this was a good example. Yeah. It's like, I'm sorry that this is upsetting to people internally and some of our distributors, but there is no debating this is what's best for the team. And that's just how we've run the company.
But I will say, like, both of you, we talked a lot about relationships, how important they are in life and business, and also we just talked about, the importance of this as a team, not a family. But both of you are caring people. Like, I don't want anybody this to come off like you're looking.
I am more caring than he.
No, Josh.
I don't think that's true. Actually, I care a lot about people. Rick is very caring.
No, I'm saying you are.
I know. My philosophy is more like, hey, we got to make the decision that's right for us, and sometimes that means a person leaving the company. Yeah. But we are always super empathetic. Like one of the slides we show when we talk about managing people is like, hey, if you have to make a change on the team, we treat people with dignity on the way out. Yep. And I think that's fair. It's like, hey, it didn't work out here, but we're going to try to set you up well for the next thing that comes along.
Yeah.
But
Josh is he is. So we still have a couple of distributors to this day. And I remember maybe 2 years ago, we were transitioning off of one, and some sales manager just like sent an email on a Friday evening cutting this guy off. And Josh just sort of went ballistic. Like, you don't treat your long-term, the distributors like that. And like, we brought him back. We did it the right way, but it was about the relationship, even though the right decision was we had to move on from that distributor as well.
Yeah. Those things aren't mutual.
All right, let's take another little walk down memory lane. Let's go back. I think it was like 2009. And, Luke is the chief scribe and like note taker on the body camera team. Josh is
like one of Jerry's kids.
The guy who and his reputation, like he's Rick's fraternity brother. That's why he got the job offer, was the buzz. And the two of them asked me to go to lunch to get, some career advice. I don't know if you want to give me more background.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm glad you brought this up. So Josh and I are in our early, mid-20s, and Axon
first jobs out of the military.
First jobs. And Axon was not paying us a lot. I mean, this is like there's indentured servitude, and then we were not making.
My first salary, I think, was $45,000. Maybe.
Yeah, not a lot of money. So we're like struggling to like pay our rent and stuff. I'm being honest. Like, I mean, we're not making a lot of money, and so we meet with Rick, who's like larger than life figure, and we're like, Rick, can you give us some life advice? And in my mind, I'm thinking he's going to be like, eat right, sleep right, like try hard. And Rick, do you remember what you said to us?
Josh, do you remember?
I remember like it was yesterday.
What was it?
He just looks us in the eye and he goes, guys, never buy a private jet.
So there's two ways to interpret this.
Okay.
The first way, which is I'm sure how they interpret it, is this guy's such a self-centered jerk. Because I was in the midst of like nearly collapsing. I was telling the story, like my dad and I had bought a private jet before the financial collapse of 2008. And he went bankrupt. Like my dad pulled a lot of money out of Taser, but he was a risk-taking investor. And when the financial markets collapsed, he lost it all. He left me holding the bag. Our stock was down. I owed more than my net worth because of this damn jet. We owed all this money to Wells Fargo. So it was top of mind for me.
You know, I actually have thought that. I was like, oh, he think. I mean, I could barely pay for my car at the time, and it was like, oh, this guy's telling us, you know, someday we might be able to buy a jet. It was pretty motivating, but also a little tone deaf.
Oh, remember he had the Chevy Camaro convertible?
Yeah,
That was great.
Yeah, that was great. I mean, do you remember some of Rick's fashion choices?
the best.
He's very denim on denim shorts with like combat boots.
Long sleeve button up denim shirt, denim shorts, combat boots.
Yeah, but it made an impression, right? Sitting here today, you remember that outfit.
Well, we
Definitely
also
made an impression.
At one point, we're pretty casual, and one of the guys was like, "Oh, we should do Sport Coat Tuesday or something." So on Tuesdays, all the younger guys would come in wearing sport coats, and it kind of turned into a thing. And then Rick is like, "Hey, what is this?" And we're like, "Oh, it's Sport Coat Tuesday." And so he comes in and he's wearing, and Sport Coat Tuesday is like a blazer from Brooks Brothers with like a button down. Rick comes in wearing this. Do you remember?
Like an affliction blazer. It's like bedazzled.
It looked like a designer from The Matrix had made this thing in Milan, you know. And
Do you remember his Halloween costume one year at the holiday? Or I don't even think it was. I think it was our holiday party, and he just dressed like it was Halloween.
oh yeah. People are like, did you dress up? No, the best
platform heels on with like.
I think we might be getting off track.
No. I got to tell this story. So we do these themes, these costume themes for our events. So we had a theme like Mount Everest. We had these other themes. So and we had a Roman gladiator theme. So I actually think this is the first year that you got to choose the theme. And so the theme that you pick was Kentucky Derby. And so if you're a fan of the Kentucky Derby, you know, it's a certain look and feel. So everybody is dressed up like the Kentucky Derby. And I think he's going to say this was intentional, but it was not intentional. Rick shows up and he's dressed like a cowboy.
He's like horses. I mean,
Yeah, I'm gonna ride me a horse.
oh God, good Lord. Okay.
Like, in full disclosure, I am a little hurt because my fashion sense is actually a disability. That's why I wear so much Axon stuff, because it's literally like Garanimals. I get up in the morning. If I pick something that's got Axon in it, and I put my Axon shoes, I'm going to be okay.
Do you remember when, didn't we get him a stylist? Like,
That was the best. The only thing Rick had to be responsible for on his own was socks, and he still fucked that up. Like, he had like a suit on with like nice shoes, and he'd just wear like white ankle socks with him.
the stylist,
Comfortable.
Showing that ankle.
the stylist did not last very long.
Well, I kind of view part of our job is to tell you like it is, because you've started this company, everybody's fawning over you, and so I think part of what I learned is Rick actually, nobody tells him the truth that much. So when you do tell him
In the early days.
there's like,
gotten better. Yeah.
I haven't been around for a while, but so we would go to him and say like, hey, we need to fix this and we need to fix this. And so we'd started to build this rapport where it's like, oh, Rick actually values hearing the truth, and he's kind of cultivating that. And so as part of that, he had also become a young grandfather. And so I was like starting to rib him about like being a gilf, and so I would call him grandpa. And the first couple times he's kind of like cool and collected, and then I can tell it's starting to get under his nerves. So I keep calling him grandpa.
We'd have people like come in the office and meet Rick, and we'd introduce him by being like, he had his first grandkid the other day.
And in one meeting, I called him Gramps, and I saw it was like his face went white. And after the meeting, Rick comes up to me, and maybe in our whole career, we've had two stern conversations, and this was one of them. He said, "Hey, I don't appreciate that. Please stop doing it."
In
Glad I wasn't
fairness,
there
I
for that.
actually did that with my son as well. Like he started calling me Gramps in front of his kids. I was like, cut that shit out. Growing up with my kids, I'm GoDaddy. Like the grandkids, I'm GoDaddy. For whatever reason, like growing up, when I was in high school, Gramps was a super derogatory term you would use towards like just shitty old people, and it just
Right.
for whatever reason, that is one of the few things that triggers me. I do not like being called.
You're go
Noted.
I'm
You're
GoDaddy.
You're
Well, it started as GoDaddy, like granddaddy. I thought it was kind of cool, but
God.
kids can't do a gd. And so Colton started calling me GoDaddy instead of GoDaddy. And I was like, you know what, that's pretty cool. I'll take GoDaddy.
I've learned quite a few things about you on this podcast.
Yeah.
I see your ink coming through your sleeve there. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, this is when, all right, so.
Well, that's quite a sore subject from John Oliver, but go ahead.
No, so we fast forward to 2018. And, I'd gone through various emotional curves. Like I took a year off thinking I was going to maybe retire. And then I came back and the board approached me. I was still telling them very transparent, like, hey, I'm kind of having this midlife, crisis. I'm debating, like, am I really like a CEO of a big company or am I more of a startup guy? I like the risk. I like the adventure. And they'd come to me with this, hey, did you see this Elon Musk pay package where, he went all in, got a bunch of stock, had to double the company and then grow it from there. Would you like to do something similar? And I was like, fuck, excuse me. Yeah, like that'd be great. And that was the missing piece for me because I love the company. I love the mission. I'm not a guy who likes to like just do my job and get paid. I like the risk. If I do well, great things will happen. If I fail, I love the fact I could make zero if I sucked. And so I remember standing in front of the company after the shareholders had approved this. I don't know if you remember this. Luke was motivating the company. He's president of the company at the time. This is after
Great moment.
And in front of we've got all of our manufacturing people that are,
There's like a Serbian translator because half the room is we have a large Serbian population in Scottsdale. Half the room is manufacturing hourly workers. The other half are people like me and Luke who, are making $50,000 a year.
And to go tell them what Luke's motivational.
So Luke gets up in front of the company and he goes, big news, everybody. If we do well for the next 10 years, Rick can become a billionaire.
I get revisionist history.
That was maybe a little toned down.
In my mind, it was like, hey, this guy is going to give up. He's basically working for free. He's not going to take any pay. And that's the kind of leader that you want. And I also think, hey, I say we, because I'm on Team Axon still for life, took some heat about the tattoo thing. And I have a couple tattoos. I've got a Marine Corps tattoo that's really important to me. You hear about the Romans, getting tattoos. And I think a tattoo is something where it's like, hey, I really believe in this. Mm-hmm. Like when you look back on your life, you want to be like, I did something that I gave a shit about, that I cared about, that was meaningful. And so I actually viewed it as a super positive thing. And there was kind of this negative shine about like, is this a cult and all that? And like, hey, look, you can spin a story any way you want, but if you're a young person, young man or woman, and you're like, what do I want to do with your life? Do you want to go work for a company that has a purpose and people are leaning in and they care about it so much they would get like a tattoo? That's the way I think about it.
Well, at least Luke cleaned it up and he'd say, we're going to make Rick a fucking billionaire. Like,
well, to be honest, all I could think, I wanted to crawl under a rock. Because I was like, what is motivating about telling people like, the richest guy in the building, we could make him like and this is right as the blowback, like billionaire used to be a thing like, wow, that guy's a billionaire.
Something to aspire to.
It went through a phase where maybe that was not the most positive thing.
But then shortly after, and I actually think, if you look at in Axon's headquarters, there are a lot of patents. Rick's a prolific inventor. He's actually been in the weeds on a lot of the Taser and even Axon inventions. But I actually think one of the biggest inventions or kind of creative insights that Rick had is, okay, we've got this comp package for the CEO. And CEOs and founders are really important. But if you build a company, it's a collection of people. Right. And when I walked through the lobby today, my face lit up with joy seeing the cast of characters that has helped Ben Axon. It's a lot of critical people, decades putting in time and effort. And so Rick's insight was, how do we take this this kind of executive comp package and cascade that down to the whole company? And it was super motivating to roll out the XSP to everybody.
Yeah. So basically, we took Elon's package. We had my version of it. Coming out of that meeting, luckily, Luke, you motivated me. I was like, I've got to find a way where everybody can participate. And so Hadi, who leads our comp committee and has been a transformative board member, we got together and we designed this plan that could put everybody on the same 12 milestones as, I was getting tattooed on my arm and marking them off as we went. And that was transformative once everybody got on the same plan. And that's where the private jet capable money came from these two guys. But it was great. We shared around. Like, we made over 100 people millionaires. I mean, if you run it now, it's probably several hundred.
I think it's higher than that now, for sure.
Yeah. And to this day, we actually shared it back with the compensation consultants who helped us put this together. Because, you have to use independent people to do this. And they told us we're the only company who took a plan like this beyond the CEO. In some places, they might give it to like a couple of people, like the CFO. They've never seen this done through the whole company. And today, I think that's still true.
Do you remember what he did next, the consultant?
What?
He left his company and started a boutique firm implementing this plan to other companies.
Have they actually gotten it to where they go through the whole company?
I don't know. I don't know what the latest is, but that's his job now. That's what he does.
Yeah, I think he's doing. I think though that generally it's still done only with executives. I would love to hear if there's examples where companies, because we do it like down to everybody from the production floor and the janitor and the and I don't say that in a deprecating way. Those are just typically among the lower paying jobs. Everybody participates.
Yeah. I think it creates a great sense of ownership within the company. So, the value of own it is not surface level. Everybody at Axon feels like an owner, and they have upside. And so they're treating the company like it's their company. I thought it was amazing. And what was really cool about, like, pre-XSP, we have all these competing ideas and everybody kind of has their own pet project. Josh wants to do something and the head of product wants to do something. And, it's kind of hard to get alignment. And then we roll out the XSP. You've never seen people get so aligned in your life. It was radical alignment. Everybody is lining up to say, how do we row in the same direction? And again, strong leadership can do that. But incentives, holy cow, incentives matter. I mean, I've never seen the company move so fast as when we rolled that out.
Well, I'll tell you, when we signed up for the plan, my wife was against it. I was like, hey, I want to do this. And she's like, what, you make zero? Like, this is crazy. Like, why would you take that much risk? But she got on board. She did not think we were going to hit it. And look, at the time I took that plan, we had been at $33 in 2004. We were at like low 20s when we signed the plan. I think it was at like 18, or it ended up being around $28, I think was the strike price. So we were still below the price we had hit 15 years ago. And before anything paid off, it would have to at least double. So she was not a fan of it. And we had 10 years to do this. And we ran the table in 5 years. And that's because of this alignment. Everybody got aligned. It was incredible.
Yeah, you remember when we were getting the tattoos, who we saw at the tattoo parlor?
I don't think we should call him out by name, but we had a customer who had had a bit to drink in Vegas.
He saw us through the window and he came running in and he goes, I'm signing up for OSP, I'm getting Fleet, I'm getting this, that, pretty much everything we sold. And he's like, I love your company, I love this sales rep, blah, blah, blah. And at that moment, I was like, holy shit, I think we're actually going to do this.
The OSP is Officer Safety Plan. It's the high high tier of our price.
Yeah, I remember
with everything built in.
When Josh called me and said, hey, we're doing this XSP plan, Rick's pushing it down. Hey, here's what you can do, this or you can do that. Like, I didn't even understand the math behind it. I didn't understand the calculation. I didn't know what a tranche was. And Josh was like, oh, but I think the conversation was probably 45 seconds. I was like, yeah, I'm all in. And you're like, okay, thank you. And hung up. Like, that was the extent of, because you had to believe in the company and you believe in its leadership, like Rick and Luke at the time. Like, it was like, and if you went all in, and I don't think you get enough credit for, you could have been a billionaire, or as Luke said, but you made over 100 plus people at Axon millionaires. That is absolutely incredible. And the other thing that you did that we briefly mentioned, you took your final tranche, that's just a set of stock that you have, and gave it back to everybody in the company making below $90,000. That might have been the most memorable thing I've ever seen. That was
like $80 million that he gave back.
Life-changing money to anybody making below $90,000. That might be the most memorable thing I've ever seen at Axon.
Totally.
Yeah, well, and it doubled before it vested for those people. So, like, we had people that were on the production.
Quadrupled as of now.
Oh yeah, we had some people on the production line that were, had been working there for 20 years that now made over $1 million.
I had an Uber driver going to the airport just 2 or 3 weeks ago, Serbian. And so he goes, oh, Axon. He goes, a lot of Serbians work at Axon. I said, yeah. He knew two of the people who worked in the back who got the money from you. They told the story, and it was life-changing money. They paid off their house. They paid off the college education for their kids, and they're retired, and they are happy as can be.
So how many people here have a taser tattoo or an Axon tattoo? All right. So we won't flip through them all here, but we'll edit them into the final show. So I think actually, all right, if you were to vote, who do you think here has the best Axon tattoo?
Well, who has the worst?
Where's yours, on your leg?
It's up here.
Yeah.
Oh, on the back.
I think I'm pretty proud of mine.
I would actually say Mike Wagers gets the reward.
I don't know that I've seen yours.
But that's hurtful
right.
because the reason it's hurt. But the reason
I mean, you wear clothes.
no, but I'm saying the reason it's hurtful is
Are we taking clothes off?
no.
we may have to, Mike. Mike.
He did that
is it?
at a major city chiefs meeting. This was coming out of COVID. He's talking about tattoos. He's there with a group of female police chiefs. Drinks have been had. And he goes, Mike's got an Axon tattoo. Come over here, Mike. Show him your tattoo. I'm like, Rick, it's on my thigh. And so he goes, well, pull your pants down. And I'm like, Rick, I'm not pulling my pants down from a bunch of police chiefs. It's fine. And I'm started unzipping my pants, thinking about this because I'll do whatever Rick says. And I'm like, Rick, I'm not pulling my pants down, but it's on my thigh.
Well, do you remember who has the best Axon tattoo, though, in the company?
Well,
Mike,
No. Go ahead.
I know.
we had one of our sales reps got the.
No. What
I
about
know
Pat
who-
Madden?
Oh, Pat Madden. I mean, it's inverted.
The logo's upside down. Imagine getting something tattooed on yourself for life, and it's upside down.
Wait, before you show that one, the tattoo I have for XSP 1.0, that's the first one. The reason Josh plays into it is it's got the delta, and then it's got Roman numerals for 12, and then underneath it, Josh always talks about next play. And so I was trying to figure out, big sports. Does that come from Belichick, I guess, or?
No, it actually came from Coach K at Duke.
So Josh is very famous within the company. He's saying next play. We celebrate the wins, but then we move on, and that's one reason that mantra helps propel the company. So I got the symbol for next play, like if you're fast forwarding. Oh boy, what that's a.
I didn't know about that one. That's beauty.
Is that
Incredible.
Is that sweet or what? Mike's rocket ship.
Well,
I'm gonna need to go take a cold shower after seeing this, Mike.
that was Fat Mike too. That's before I was in shape and.
If
and
any
gray
male
beard.
modeling agencies are looking for some new talent,
Yep. Well,
The best part about XSP, though, is I think you could go out in the hallway there, and I don't think you could find one person who could describe how it works.
Nope.
They're just like, oh, yeah,
No,
this is a great thing.
There are some engineers who try to figure it out. They're on a Slack chat. And I'm like, guys, you either believe or you don't believe.
Yeah, it's very binary. Like, you could ask all these people how they made a bunch of money. They're like, I don't know, it just kind of happened.
you put
Like,
$1 in, and if we hit all the goals, you get $100 out.
well,
So-
I mean, in today's climate, there could be some like blowback. Oh, these like capitalists are only about profits, kind of negative word. And I think it's really important to like say, hey, time out. Let's talk about how economics work, and let's talk about how investment works. And I don't think our model is not exploitative at all. We're creating real value, and that value requires years of risk. Remember, we were investing millions of dollars before we made a penny of profit at Axon. And so it was, we started in 2008. We actually didn't turn a profit until 2019. So we invested in the Axon business for 11 years, and it wasn't guaranteed. No. We were a strong gust of wind from that thing going down. So there's a lot of risk, a lot of perseverance, and the value for society was we're creating these tools that create transparency, reducing injuries in the field with officers, but it required a lot of investment. So in about 2017, I was like, okay, and Rick and the CFO were like, okay, we got to start getting to profitability. We got to show this is a lemonade stand that can actually make money. And so I went to the company in like 2018. I said, look, when we get profitable, I'm going to shave my head. And, one of the things I'm proud about, I think I got a great head of hair. So, I tell the company if we...
Second best hair to Doug Clinton.
Doug Clinton had
Both Norwegian.
Legendary hair. We got to get a picture of Doug Clinton's hair.
No, we'll
it
get
really
it.
is
Yeah.
amazing. But so I say I'm going to shave my head when we hit profitability. So we hold this event up in Seattle, and we had done it. We had turned a profit at Axon in that business unit. We had positive EBITDA. It was a massive moment. We had proved the business model could work, and this was a long time coming. And so up on stage in front of the whole company, they shaved my head. And It was actually brutal. They were like, I don't know who they.
Pat Murphy was doing it, and he just kept jabbing you with the clippers. And by the time you're done, there's blood just streaming down your face from getting a haircut.
I was in the audience. It was actually first everybody's cheering. Oh, this is incredible! This is wild. And then and then the blood starts dripping. Everybody's like, oh God. And then I think we still have PTSD.
Well, and they gave him the Krusty the Clown. They didn't do a clean shave. They left that like ring of hair around the edges.
So
it was a good look. You should go back to it.
Yeah. Well, I actually found this like kindred spirit with the bald people after I.
Why do you keep staring at me? I mean,
or give me hugs or hugging out. But in the lead up to this kind of profitability chant, we were saying, hey, we gotta get scrappy, and so we're gonna put a ban on swag for a year. And it was a little bit of a mindset like, do these things actually move the needle? It's more about like, let's be scrappy. Let's really lean in. Let's do what we need to do to get this business profitable. And it was hard. Remember, this is 10, 11 years coming. So we get this done, and I'm like a maniac. At one point, I was like signing every person in the company's expense reports for like 2 months just to set the tone. So this is the tone in the company. And I had been on like a trip to Europe for Axon, and I came back, and Rick had installed this futuristic garage door. Do you remember this?
Rick tinkers with the office a lot. Some say it creates some distraction at the workplace. Others say it's great. Rick says it's great.
Everybody has an opinion, Josh.
And look, I was my blood was boiling because I had put everything. This was so important to the company to hit this profitability, and then it's like, and we put this random futuristic garage door in, and it looks like
it's the security shutter,
white elephant.
Like, what was the thinking behind the garage door?
What was
you don't
the
see many conference rooms with 0 windows or ways to look out into the.
All right, so for the new headquarters,
Picture this.
For the new headquarters, we were thinking of like, how do we set up so we can have big open spaces? But one of the problems with our current headquarters, when we host events down in the atrium, like the sound goes through the entire building, right? And like everybody has to wear headphones at their desk to work. And so for the new headquarters, we'd been designing this for years. I was looking at, hey, is there a way we can have big openings, and then these like security shutters, we'd put the foam security shutters, would that be soundproof enough? And then I thought, oh, well, we'll test it on one of our current conference rooms, so you can leave the shutter up and it's open to the world. And if you want privacy, you hit the button and the door comes down, and they've got a sealed like private room where people can't see in.
It came across as a little like, oh, this is this kind of weird, a little bit.
It totally failed. Like it didn't work. Nobody ever.
The door is still there though. Yeah. That conference room still has this door.
Nobody ever puts it up. Is the punchline? They just leave it down.
Yes.
It was a little bit lavish. It felt like, and so I
took the T-shirt budget you didn't spend and I put it into the security shutter.
So at most companies, the person might go and say like, hey, look, let's talk this out. Let's have constructive conflict or whatever. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this guy. We're going to do something different. So we got, I think it was like a recent college grad, maybe an intern at the time. And I said, hey, we need to stage like an accident. I want it to look like the garage door has come down and crushed your leg. So we get fake blood. We send somebody to like the Halloween store to get the fake blood. And we have this, and somebody bought a fake foot. So we have this fake foot. And then on the company, we have this kind of communication tool at the time that was really the lifeblood of how the executive team talked. And so I had a meeting with everybody without Rick. And I said, hey, we're going to play this prank on Rick where I want Elizabeth, I said, Elizabeth, I want you to say, we've had an accident. And then I want Josh Goldman to say, oh my God, it's really bad. And then we're going to kind of drip breadcrumb these messages. So this thing starts to happen. And again, Rick is a very caring guy. And he's like, oh no, what's going on? And then we start dropping the pictures. And it's the project that he did where the garage door is down. And you see this fake photo. I'd love to, we have actually never talked about this. Like, what were you thinking on the other end of that when this came through?
I was shitting myself. I was like, oh my God. Because I knew I had sort of done this as kind of a little rogue side project. And I was off the next week in Hawaii, working remote. I was working a bit remote, before it was cool after COVID. And I was in full blown like Catholic guilt mode. I was like, what have I done? This poor woman's like, and I'm looking at the pictures, and I was in such like panic mode. I didn't even think that this might be a practical joke. There's blood everywhere, and I'm just thinking, and of course, I pushed the company to take risks, right? I'm like, hey, we got to take risks. You got to fail at some things. And I was like, oh my God, is this a bridge too far? Have I seriously maimed somebody because I didn't run this through a process of getting safety engineering, et cetera?
Speaking of living in Hawaii, do you remember Rick's presentation when he said he was going to move to Hawaii? He took a flat map of the world, and then it was positioned in a way where Hawaii was the dead center of the screen. And he's like, all right, good news, everybody. I'm moving to Hawaii, and this is going to increase my productivity because I can fly anywhere on Earth out of Hawaii, and I can get to everywhere. We're looking at this like little dot on the map. What the hell is this guy doing?
The dead center of the world, Josh.
Yeah. We had a couple heated conversations about that as well. And I think you were like, look, Luke, I've worked really hard, and I don't want to be a slave to the schedule, and we're going to make this work. And we're going to get, Zoom calls and Google meetings and all this stuff going. And I was pretty frustrated, but said, look, let's figure it out. We're going to make this work. And so Rick was actually a pioneer with remote work, was not really something that people did. And so he had forced the company to get on these Zoom meetings. And then what happened in 2020?
Yeah, this was leading. I moved to Hawaii in 2019. This was like a life goal with the wife and the kids, and I wanted to experiment with being more remote.
Being
and then
central as well, being in the center of the world.
Yeah, and then COVID hit right in the middle of all this. And so we were doing the pre-work, baby. We're just getting it ready. It was like the jet advice, right?
We were ready. We were very comfortable on video conferencing. Rick took it too far. He tried to have an exec meeting on Voxer where like everyone, this thing, you would send a voice message and someone would play it back like a text message. Having said that, Rick wanted to do the entire 1 hour exec meeting just leaving Voxer messages for each other. However, he was the only one not in the conference room. So all of us are there, and we're leaving messages on our phone despite being surrounded by everyone. But our CFO is the only guy there, Dan, and he was on a flight. And we were talking about like a financial subject, and his backlog was like the queue. They weren't loading in time. Just totally forgot the message, or just left behind in the message. Made a bunch of decisions without him.
You got to experiment. Sometimes you got to fail to
Well,
learn. But voice messaging is the future. We're just another 10 years until it really catches on.
Yes, can't wait.
Pre-COVID, Rick had also been encouraging his daughter to do entrepreneurship. And I gotta find this picture. I didn't put it in the deck there, but we got to get it and get this up. And so this is in like 2017, 18, 19, he's working with his daughter on this project. And Rick is actually a fantastic dad and has been a great role model for me to say, take time with your kids, take a hooky day once a year. And it's really impacted the relationship that I have with my daughters. And I try to pay it forward and encourage that to people as well. So Rick's daughter, in 2019, what's she working on?
So we go to Singularity in San Francisco, the Singularity conference, and Kylie is presenting to a room of like 200 people. She's in high school. She gets up there and presents this concept. She's like, China is so polluted. Everyone wears masks there now, and we should bring this to the United States. And it was this new mask. Mm-hmm. And at the time, we're like, who's going to wear a mask? A year later, everybody was wearing a mask.
Yeah. Now, in fairness, that product failed. It was I may be oversharing, but I sleep with a CPAP, which is one of the most.
I share a room.
You go on the road with Rick, and it sounds like you're sleeping next to old Darth Vader over here.
We have pictures.
It is a bit humiliating the way it looks, but I realized, hey, this thing's so comfortable. I've gotten, and my daughter noticed as well. Like, hey, you actually breathe. Your airflow is controlled. And rather than these masks that get your face hot, you could do something similar. Again, she didn't quite get product market fit, which I actually think is a good thing. Like, life shouldn't be too easy. If her first startup had been a runaway hit, I think, that's not a good life. Is a life with challenge and adversity, and you overcome it, and then you get success.
Well, didn't she have like a bunch of supply chain issues?
Oh yeah, I mean, And then she got blocked from advertising on Facebook. Like, it runs in the family. Like, tasers, you can't fucking advertise them on Facebook and Google. And then, like, everybody's like, oh, like, we can't advertise masks because of the pandemic, which is exactly when you would think you should advertise masks. But it was just weird. So we all get blocked.
Like medical product or something. You had to have certain.
No. It had to do with like They didn't want people profiteering off of like COVID and like you had to. Yeah, you just couldn't be advertising. I don't remember what the threshold was, but it's because we were in the pandemic and she was trying to sell a mask, she got blocked.
Crazy.
From all the major tech platforms. Pendula swing, and we're kind of back where I think a lot of that sort of well-intentioned censorship is kind of going away. But I've been on the receiving end in every project I've ever done.
Well, I mean, Josh and Luke certainly more than me, but you come with these crazy ideas, and I think anybody around you is always like, well, that's an interesting idea. Rick pitches something. I mean, you've been 100 times you've been around this. He pitches some idea, and you're like, okay, Rick, and that's an interesting idea. And then it's up to some people around him to either be candid and tell him it's not going to work. But I always go back to, and I get in trouble, and Josh has counseled me on this too. Like because I'm usually like, yeah, that's a great idea, Rick, let's go. But like, because you are right more often than you're wrong. We're pointing out some of the failures, but if you didn't have a crazy, innovative guy, still have the founder and CEO, the founder here at the company, it wouldn't be the company we are today.
More than half fail. That's
still
we're being kind. But you're
big one's right. Cloud worked out well. Taser.
You're out on the field. One that didn't work out well that we need to get some.
I don't know that we need to go there. Whatever this is, I don't know.
No. This is one of my favorites. So we're trying to get the body cam. We're trying to get these cops to wear body cameras, and they don't want to wear it. And Rick is like goes off to wherever he goes, and he comes back and he says, I've hired a designer. And again, these designers are expensive. It's not like he hired some college sketch artist. This is like a design firm. And he's got this like almost like a magician-like moment. Do you remember this?
I think I know what you're talking about.
And there's, I actually think he may have even, like normally it's PowerPoint. For this one, he may have had some like mock-ups done. And he pulls back this curtain. And it is this headband that looks like it's something Jane Fonda would wear. It's like this rubber headband, and everybody is just looking back like, are you kidding me?
But look, I thought you were going to talk about the bat belt. It's like we build our own computer. It weighs like 20 fucking pounds, and it's like, oh yeah, just carry this around while you're doing your job. Rick makes it a belt so it flips down, and you can look at the screen if you're just looking.
I've never heard the bat. I've never heard the bat.
The bat belt was epic.
He may bring it back.
The best is like you could tell who the suck-ups were at work because you're watching this and they're like, Rick, that's a great idea. This is awesome. It's like innovation. I'm looking at this guy like, what the fuck is wrong with you? This is the worst idea ever.
All right, in my defense, we were having trouble with these like plastic pieces because they'd like pinch around your head. And I was like, wow, if you put a headband on it, it would distribute the weight evenly. And I've warned you that I have a fashion disability, and that's where it showed itself there. In both of those cases, there's like, yeah, Rick, I don't think people actually wear it.
Speaking of fashion disabilities, I've noticed you're not wearing a particular accessory today. What's going on with that?
Oh, my the MERS, the magnetic MERS. I still wear it. Today I've got a sport coat I was wearing, and I got a pocket there, so I don't need my man purse.
It's not the Milan sport coat.
No. It's for a while he was wearing like a wristband, like he was a quarterback with the play chart, flipping it up. Except his phone would just be mounted to the wristband.
And he was going around.
What if we should do like how many times would he come up and say like, hey, check out my new phone case? But it's not like a normal phone case. No. It's like a woman's purse strap.
Finding a practical phone case for Rick to use and wear is like searching for the Holy Grail. It's been a 20-year project.
He would go around with his phone on his wrist. This is recent. This is not like
this is last year.
Within this last year, and he would show everybody so excited about it. And then one of our customers goes, "That's really nice, Rick, but don't they call that the Apple Watch? Hasn't it already been invented?"
Let's boldly go.